Welcome to the Living Like Larry podcast, home to video game news, updates, reviews, and Welcome to the Living Like Larry podcast, home to video game news, updates, reviews, and many more. Introducing your host, the man known as Reptile on YouTube, Larry the Lobster Henson III. Kick back and enjoy this extraordinary episode of Living Like Larry. Thank you very, very kindly for the intro. That is very, very much appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Living Like Larry podcast. I am your host, and I go by the name Reptile on YouTube. I am Larry Henson III. I also prefer the nickname Larry the Lobster, but that's a whole nother story. But I very much appreciate the intro and the fact that a lot of you are coming to attend this live edition of the Living Like Larry podcast. Usually I usually don't do podcasts live in front of an audience and everything. They would usually be like pre-recorded, but because this is the very first episode of Living Like Larry, I figured the best way to celebrate this occasion is to make it live. And honestly, I'm honestly very, very excited I'm very excited to be doing this. I really am. So basically, if you guys are wondering what the Living Like Larry podcast is going to be about, it's very simple. It's basically a podcast series where I cover some updates on the channel, either with Reptile or NeuTriVon, and then I also have reviews as well, like either my thoughts on films or video games or whatever. Sometimes I might even have guests come on the show and then talk about any kind of film or game that we've played or seen to give our inputs on it. And then we also have many other stuff that we also talk about, including some stuff about retro games and even some news in the video game business. Now, to be fair, I really don't do a whole lot of news coverage and everything like that, but if I ever do find a news story that I'm sure a lot of you would be very interested in, including myself, then sure, I'll definitely be able to bring it up in the middle of the podcast. So, depending on what piques your interest, I will definitely include it in the podcast. So that's basically the basis of what Living Like Larry is going to be about. And it's funny too, because I actually spent so much time over this week trying to come up with the name for the podcast. I remember I was talking to my friend Sean, Nightbot92, on YouTube, in case you guys don't know. And I remember I told him what the name of the podcast was going to be. He was like, wow, that's actually really good. And I'm like, yeah, it works. Especially since, I get it from the character Larry the Lobster from SpongeBob. It's funny, too, because I have a lot of people at my job always call me Larry the Lobster, mostly because I kind of tell them to call me that. But, that's besides the point. But yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy this edition of the Living Like Larry podcast here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to move on to our first story, which I'm sure is something that everybody wants to know because, I've been getting a lot of questions all the time, especially from my good friend Levon, with regards to NeuTriVon. And that's basically the future of NeuTriVon. Now, this is something incredibly interesting because it's not that I want to end NeuTriVon anytime soon, because NeuTriVon has been one of the trendy things that's been going on, on my channel and everything. But the biggest problem here is, given the current situation of what we're dealing with in the world right now. That's why, the third Reptile movie has not been made. It was originally going to be released sometime during this summer, believe it or not. It was originally supposed to, as filming was supposed to take place months before But due to the current coronavirus pandemic that we've been dealing with since March, that's what put the third Reptile movie on an indefinite hold. And it was really lame too, because I was really looking forward to making this project, because I wanted to have like a casting call with some people I've met at community college, because I remember, and it's funny too, like, because I literally saw these group of people in a school play, and one of the professors there actually wrote and directed the entire play, and it was really funny. My memory is pretty vague as far as what the play was about, but and I don't mean to shift off topic from the updates on NeuTriVon, but it does play in as to why I was considering these actors for the role for the third Reptile movie. That's because I saw them in this very comedic play. It was two sisters basically fighting over who should leave town and live with their mother and stuff like that. It was almost like watching Kasumi and Ayane just I don't know, out on in a school play or something like that. That's what it felt like, because if you know what I mean, Kasumi and Ayane were always sibling rivals in Dead or Alive, in case you guys didn't get the reference. But yeah, that's what it felt like though. And so what happened was that there was a twist ending. But I wish I could remember what the twist ending was, but all I can say is that I didn't see it coming. It had an amazing twist ending, and honestly, it was a very great play, and everybody's performance was great. And so I remember, and then after the play was over, I went into the cafeteria, where a lot of my friends were hanging. We were basically, we were just lounging around. We were all chilling out, doing our usual thing. I usually play a lot of fighting games with them too, but they were also in the cafeteria as well. And because of how much I really enjoyed the play, I actually had the courage to go up to them and talk to them and basically praise them for their performances in the play, because it really was that good. And then later, I actually asked them if they wanted to take part in a project that I'm working on because of the work that they did. And I even posted, in fact, there even is a selfie that I posted on my Instagram that I took with not 100% all of the cast, but basically my favorite one, my personal favorite ones, if that makes sense. It wasn't the entire cast, but it was just a few that I got to actually meet and take a selfie with, and I'm glad. They were very nice. Honestly, they were very nice people. And I asked them if they wanted to take part in this project, and they actually expressed interest, much to my surprise. So we were like, okay, let's go. So then what I did was that I created an Instagram group chat, so that way we could keep up to date with what's going on in the project. And things were actually starting to look good, because I was literally about to have casting calls, because even though my script wasn't done at the time, I already wrote enough dialogue in the script for the third film to basically start a casting call, so that way I can kind of get a great idea on how these people would play the characters that I would give to them. And then literally right then and there, right at the beginning of March, it wasn't at the beginning of March, I believe it was middle March, that was when the COVID-19 pandemic started taking full effect. It literally changed the world in so many ways that even I didn't see it coming. I was because I remember people were telling me, oh my god, we're all gonna die, and I was just telling people that you just have to follow the regulations of what WHO says, or WHO, wear a mask, practice social distancing and stuff like that. But people were still freaking out about it. And then once the virus started spreading across America, that's when shit went left. So at that moment in time, I literally thought to myself, are you serious? And I literally told these people that 2020 was going to be the year of Reptile. Like, I'm not even kidding you. That's literally what I wrote in the DM. I said 2020 will be the year of Reptile on New Year's Eve of 2019, and then COVID-19 happened. And at that point, I was like, I was convinced that because of the pandemic, I'm going to have to put the project on an indefinite hold, and it's going to have to be postponed to the next year, which is actually a win-win situation because it allows me to revise over the script and everything, which leads me to my main point about the third film. Reptile 3 is not in any way, shape, or form going to be a direct continuation from Reptile v. Krodra. It's going to be it's basically going to be a soft reboot of the franchise, because what's going to happen is that the third film is going to be its own standalone movie. It's going to go back to the events of the first movie and Reptile v. Krodra, and then halfway through the film, it's going to continue from where Reptile v. Krodra left off. And then keep it going from there. So more than likely, it might be a pretty long film, but I also want to make sure that the audience doesn't have to watch the first two films in order to understand what's going on, and I want them to be able to relate to Reptile in a way that they can basically sympathize with him, because they need to know what happened during his childhood and everything like that, which that is also hard to do. Like, you need a child actor and stuff like that. But I do have several plans on how I want to write this character in the film. Like, I want him to be incredibly relatable to the audience, but at the same time, I also want Krodra to be a very understandable villain, like why he hates Reptile so much. It's basically going to be like Solid Snake and Liquid Snake. Like, in a way, like, Krodra is basically Liquid. Like, he kind of looks at Reptile and he's very jealous of him, and that's where his hatred kind of stems from. Similar to how Solid Snake he supposedly killed Big Boss in Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Of course, Metal Gear Solid 4, he's alive, but then he dies to Fox Die. But, Liquid had no knowledge that Big Boss was still alive, though. And Liquid believed that Solid stole Liquid's chance at having revenge on Big Boss. So his plan was to surpass Big Boss by doing something even greater than Big Boss ever achieved. A greater outer heaven, if you will. So in a way, that's the formula that I want Reptile and Krodra to be kind of based off. It's still going to be standing on its own, but I still want this sibling rivalry to be very relatable to the audience and understand why these two are not the best of brothers with each other. And not only that, but the Violent Ducks' history is also going to be retconned too, because I think what I did was that when I wrote the Violent Ducks history, it kind of it did create some complications. But I wanna make it so where there's some twists and turns with the history of the Violent Ducks, because like it's supposed to be a mysterious backstory, so that's really the major point. And so that's the direction that the Violent Ducks is going to be in. Now, true, I am open to making a standalone Violent Ducks film if the idea ever crops up, but honestly though, I honestly kind of think of this third film be more like a Violent Ducks film in a way. So that's the new direction that NeuTriVon is going to be going in as far as Reptile. That's not the only thing concerning NeuTriVon, but it's just one of the few things I do want to bring up. There is another topic that also relates to NeuTriVon, but the primary topic on the future NeuTriVon I've already discussed right now. Reptile is going to get a soft reboot. The Violent Ducks' history is going to be retconned, so if you guys ever get confused as to what happened, just because you saw the first two films. You guys can choose to ignore those films if you want, because this is a completely different continuity than what you're already used to. So I want to apologize in advance if it does, but that's the direction that it's going to be going in. So for the next topic, like I said, it relates to NeuTriVon. And this is basically going to be something very, very interesting. So since I've been on the platform since 2012, I've always liked doing animation. Animation has always been one of my soft spots for media, because like I always enjoy watching all kinds of independent cartoons and stuff like that, especially on YouTube as well. And there's plenty of them too. But mainly my inspiration for wanting to do animated series is because for one thing, this isn't even a shocking fact, but I am a Disney fanboy. I'm not gonna lie. I am a Disney fanboy. I grew up my entire life watching Disney films, both Disney and Pixar films, which, is kind of contradicting because Pixar are Disney films, but whatever. And then I also grew up watching shows like SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Looney Tunes, Popeye. Yes, I even liked Family Guy as well. And to be fair, I didn't watch Family Guy as a kid. Don't get the wrong idea. No, I actually watched that when I became a teenager, when I was 14-ish. I think that was when I started watching Family Guy or something like that. Somewhere around there, yeah. And then there were also other brilliant cartoons like the original Teen Titans. And then there was a lot of great Cartoon Network shows that I can think of right off the bat. Dexter's Laboratory. And then there's also, Codename for Kids Next Door. That was another great one. I actually really love that show. Then there was Ben 10. And I almost forgot, Danny Phantom. Danny Phantom is easily one of my favorite animated shows. And then there was so many, like I said, there's so many animated shows to pick from. That's why it's so hard to pick a favorite, because there's so many of them. But basically, all the cartoons that I just listed just now basically inspired me to want to do my own animated series, especially on part of the voice actors and stuff like that. Like, you got guys like Tom Kenny, Bill Fagerbakke, Roger Bum as Clancy Brown, and then J.G. Quintel. And that's another one. Regular Show. Regular Show is probably my favorite Cartoon Network show of all time. Just because it was just, I just loved it in so many ways. I might even talk about that in a separate video essay if I want to. But yeah, and then there was also Adventure Time as well. And even though I don't watch it as much, I do have to admit that Steven Universe also is a great animated show from what I see, because of its LGBT messages and stuff, as well as the creativity in the universe and the characters that it surrounds and everything, and the coming of age storyline involving Steven Universe, like, growing up and all that stuff. Like, I actually really like that style about Steven Universe. That's why it's such a popular show. But yeah, like I said, you have so many great voice actors. Laura Bailey is, first of all, not only is she a very gorgeous woman, but she is extremely talented. Like, not only has she voiced she voiced Trunks in the original Funimation dub of Dragon Ball Z, but she also voices Chun-Li in Street Fighter, starting from Street Fighter 4, and she's been voicing the character ever since. Most recently in Street Fighter 5, of course. And then you also have other voice actors, like maybe I should recall the Dragon Ball cast. First off, you have Sean Schemmel, my favorite, Christopher Sabat, and then you also have, oh my god, Chuck Huber. Chuck Huber is amazing. Like, I swear to God, Chuck Huber is just an amazing human being. Like, if you don't know who he is, he voiced Emperor Pilaf in the original Dragon Ball, including Dragon Ball Super, and he also voiced Garlic Jr., and probably his most famous role from Dragon Ball, he also voiced Android 17. And And I also forgot to mention, he also voiced Android 13 as well, which I honestly did not know until I played Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly am I talking about here? The reason why I'm bringing all these names up is because there is a new animated series that's going to be coming to Reptile, hopefully pretty soon, as long as I can round up some of my cast members as well. Because like, I want my cousin Nostradamus to take part in it, because he's been, if you guys saw the top, what was it, the top 15, I think, scariest PIS video, no, I think it was 10, I'm sorry, basically, no, it was top 20, I'm sorry, I'm having a huge brain fart here. Yeah, my cousin's voice work in that show was absolutely astounding. So it was, you know, he was very, I feel like he was really good in that video. He really was. And so because of his amazing voice work, I feel like he would definitely make for an amazing role for the new animated series. And you might be wondering, what's going to happen with Friends with Benefits and all that stuff? What that, similar to Reptile, that show might also get a reboot as well. I'm still not sure what direction I want that show to go in, but I still kind of want to keep it going for many different reasons. But here's one of them, though. Because since I think I was like 11 years old, I think, I remember I used to make a lot of these basically these not so good animated shorts and stuff, and they used to be called The Adventures of Eddie Johnson. I've actually never uploaded them to YouTube at all, because I feel like they were that bad. The only animated show, the earliest one that I've ever uploaded onto YouTube, was the Joe Jackson show. And when I did that show, how old was I? No, I think I was 11. No, I think I was 12 when I did Eddie Johnson, and I was 11 when I did Joe Jackson. And a lot of people kind of got a little bit confused because they thought that it had a similar connection with Michael Jackson's father, the same name, but it's completely unrelated. It was a completely different. It was basically like a TTS show, but it was really bad. The writing was just convoluted. It made no sense at all. The word choices were poor. The characters were just bland. Like, it was bad. But you have to keep in mind, I was 11 years old. You would probably like it for the fact that an 11-year-old kid made it. But at the same time, if you looked at it for quality, you're not gonna get it. But yeah, like I said, Friends with Benefits back in 2012 used to be called The Adventures of Eddie Johnson. It followed the similar format. It revolved around the life of Eddie Johnson along with his brother Tim, and then he's dating a girl named Cherry, whose brother is Duke Barry, who he happens to be best friends with. So imagine if one day Eddie gets married to Cherry, that would make him and Duke basically brothers in a way, brother-in-laws basically. So they basically had a very close relationship. The only difference though is that in the Adventures of Eddie Johnson version, originally Duke was actually Eddie was actually very jealous of Duke, because sometimes he would be around when Eddie and Cherry are basically together, and he felt like, she would spend more time with him. So originally it would take a lot of time to get used to him, but he eventually warmed up to him. The only reason how come in Friends with Benefits that portrayal has never happened, because you can see right from the first episode, Eddie and Duke are best friends, even much to Eddie's annoyance with Duke at some instances. The reason I got rid of that is because I feel like Eddie would have came off very pretentious. He would have came off very unlikable. The fact that he hates his girlfriend's brother would make him such a shit boyfriend. So that's why when I did Friends with Benefits back in 2014, I eradicated that part of the story entirely. But like I said, I don't mean to shift away from topics, but the reason I bring that up is because in the future, Friends with Benefits might get a soft reboot and might get a rename, like a reshuffle. Like, the characters are still going to be there, they're probably still going to be the same, but the show format might be a little different, and then the title might be different. And as far as the new animated series, that's what leads me into this. What's going to happen with Friends with Benefits, I'm still going to call it that for now until I come up with something different. It's going to be integrated with the NeuTriVon animated universe. Now, I'm going to set the record straight right here, right now. The NeuTriVon animated universe in no way, shape, or form is going to be connected to the live action films. This is a completely separate universe to basically expand the brand of NeuTriVon. That's basically the plan. So don't get it twisted. If you see in the future you potentially see an animated reptile or something like that for in the form of a cameo or something like that. Don't get it confused. The animated universe is going to be 100% different from the live action movies and stuff. It's similar to DC, like how the animated movies are separated from the live action films. Similar to that. So that's going to avoid any confusion. And like I said, the only reason I'm doing it is so that way the NeuTriVon channel can basically become more multicultural, if that makes sense. For the new animated show, the new animated show is a project that I've been working on for a very, very long time. I'm still unsure on how far it's going to go, although I do have high hopes for it. Is The Beast Within. Basically, that show is still going to be one of the hardest shows I'm going to have to work on, because it's going to have a very sophisticated storyline with a bunch of very subtle themes that's going to basically revolve around some of my personal issues in real life. So that's why it's called The Beast Within. So you might be wondering, what does that mean? But you'll learn once the show finally comes eventually. And like I said, I'm still currently working on a voice cast and stuff like that. And as for there's also another animated project that I want to do. As it's not so much as it going to be a full length episodic animated series. This is going to be more just hilarious shorts and stuff like that. But it's going to be based off of the Atari graphics. I want this show to basically be inspired by Atari 2600 style graphics and stuff like that, and have Atari style sound effects, if I could even find the sound resource. I'm still working on the basis of the show as of this moment. So that's gonna be interesting. Currently it's under the working title The Atari Show, and basically this show is essentially going to be what if you guys remember Taylor Enterprises, it's going to be something similar to actually a better way to compare it is YouTube Poops. It's going to be similar to that, but it's not gonna be as freaking lunacy as YTP's. But it's still going to be a very hilarious and random show that you'll definitely find enjoyment out of. I kind of want each short to be based off of some of the best Atari 2600 games of all time, but in a way just kind of spoof it a little bit. There will be some instances of voice acting, but it won't focus too much on dialogue. That's what The Beast Within is going to revolve around. That's going to be heavy on narratives. It's going to be like watching a Metal Gear cutscene. The Beast Within is going to be heavy on narratives. So as far as you getting to know and relating to the characters' struggles and everything, it's going to be like I said, you're going to love it. Like I said, this show is going to have a very sophisticated atmosphere and all that stuff, but it's going to be tough because I need to work on some of the artwork for the show. Especially for the backgrounds, objects, and all that stuff. I need to make sure I have all my animated resources and stuff, and I'm currently still in the process of watching some animated training videos that I paid for on I forgot what it was. I think it was called Udemy, I believe. Yeah, Udemy. Yeah, that's what it is. So that's basically what's going to happen in the future. It's going to be a very, very exciting project. I look forward to it in the future. I'm looking to bring back Natalie Guest. she actually did some of the voice work in Friends with Benefits, although nobody has ever seen it because I never released the episodes because they were never finished. But she has done some demos that I've been very impressed with, and I do want to bring her back, hopefully. And then I also want to have Nostradante be a part of it. All right, so that's about all I have to say about the upcoming projects. Now, real quick, before we get on to the next topic, I actually want to give out a huge shout out to Level Hike. If you guys don't know who Level Hike is basically a shop on Amazon where they sell a bunch of old school video game cables for like the PlayStation 1, the Nintendo GameCube, Super Nintendo, Sega Saturn, all those old school consoles, including the Sega Genesis. For only $30 on Amazon, I've actually bought a very good majority of their cables, and I even showed them on my channel as well a couple times, including in one of my newest videos where I was showing how the cords were working. So yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to Level Hike. They're basically available on Amazon. Basically, I'm advertising Level Hike on this channel as a favor to this independent business. They're a very independent business. It's being run just by, as far as I'm concerned, one guy, I believe. And I'm doing this to as a favor for him to help spread his business, so that way anybody who's a huge fan of retro games in the retro gaming community can hopefully will get more old school cables in the future, even better ones, and hopefully they might go up to 1080p if technology gets better and all that stuff. And like I said, it's great because you don't need any kind of expensive hardware from Japan, like any kind of converters that cost like $300. Like you can actually buy an actual HDMI cable for your NES or Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo. It goes up to 720p. Like the HD clarity looks great on a 4K TV, which is what I got, and you could get it for only $30 on Amazon. So definitely check out their business. I will make sure to leave a link to their Amazon page in the chat, so be sure to check out their Amazon page, and they would very much appreciate it. So there you go. Now on to the next topic. Speaking of retro games, I also want to bring up some upcoming retro Let's Plays that I'm planning for the future too, because if there's one thing I notice is that even though my retro Let's Plays don't get as much views as some of my other videos, they still get a nice amount of attention, even if it's just maybe one or two people who like, comment, or whatever. It's still a sign that there's someone out there who actually really does like the retro Let's Plays that I put out there. What I plan to do for retro Let's Plays in the future is that, first off, there's going to be a lot more Marvel vs. Capcom content, only because I remember I gotten a request from one of my fans who basically wanted me to do more Marvel vs. Capcom videos, which actually meant a lot, because in the videos that I uploaded, I actually straight up admitted that I sucked at it. Like, I straight up admitted that I sucked at all these games, but yet, people still actually thought they were very entertaining. I don't know if it was because of my commentary and all that stuff, which is pretty helpful, because if you're having like a Let's Play series and stuff like that, the one thing you will want to at least try to do is that if you want to come off very charismatic, which, to be honest with you, I'm going to admit this, I'm not the most socially charismatic person in the world. I'm not that much socially charismatic to begin with. I often try to be as charismatic on my videos as much as I can, so that way the person watching the video is having as much fun as I am in the video, which is basically being able to have a perfect balance between gameplay and commentary. Like, your entire video doesn't have to be like 100% commentary, but you want to make sure that you throw in enough, like keep a fair balance. It's like any video game, like having a fair balance between winning and losing. Like, you have to have a game where you can win and you can lose. Otherwise, if it's a game where all you do is just win, or any game where all you do is lose, then it's not a game, because it always ends in just one result, and thus it makes the game very boring. But yet, when there's a fair balance between a win and a loss in any video game, like fighting games or platformers and stuff like that, then yes, that's a fair balance. You know what I mean? So for this, that's the direction that I'm trying to go with the retro Let's Plays. Like, and as far as other fighting games too, speaking of fighting games, I am also planning on throwing in more fighting games on the channel. And honestly, it's actually... I honestly always look at myself in the mirror almost every night thinking to myself, okay, I'm a huge fan of fighting games, and the fact that I don't even upload that many videos on fighting games on my channel is beyond me. Because, like, a lot of my gameplay videos, you know, consists of action, adventure, and platformers and stuff like that, and beat-em-ups, which, to be fair, they are some of my favorite games to play, but I also want to throw in more fighting games, including some of the fighting games I have on Sega Saturn, because I have Virtua Fighter, I have Fighting Vipers, I got Battle Arena Toshinden, even though it's not a great fighting game, you know, that's still a good example. And then I also have the Japanese versions of Dead or Alive. Well, to be fair, Dead or Alive on Sega Saturn has always been in Japan. There was never even an American version. It was the only American version of the original Dead or Alive that we got was the PlayStation version, which was based on the Dead or Alive Plus upgrade from the original Dead or Alive, which consisted of Bass and Ayane. Because I remember I said in my review of Dead or Alive on Sega Saturn that, you know, even though Ayane wasn't in the original Dead or Alive, I mean, she was in the original Dead or Alive, just not the original version. She was just in the updated version called Dead or Alive Plus. And that's was what the PlayStation version was based off of. And Dead or Alive on Sega Saturn never had an American release. It was only in Japan. So unless you lived in Japan at the time of the Saturn's release, you never knew that a console version of Dead or Alive even existed. But, you know, that's besides the point, though. But I also have, you know, the Japanese version of Fighters Mega Mix. Like I said, Fighters Mega Mix is one of my favorite fighting games on the Sega Saturn. Not only that, but I think it probably is the best fighting game on the Sega Saturn. And my second favorite probably has to go to Dead or Alive, because I've actually really started falling in love with Dead or Alive since I started playing, you know, DOA 5 last round, and then I started playing 6. And that's funny too, because like a lot of people actually kind of gave Dead or Alive 6 a worse reputation than it deserves. Like, I do agree that the DLC is way overpriced and all that stuff, but it doesn't... I don't think that makes Dead or Alive 6 a bad game. I still think Dead or Alive 6 is a great game. I think it deserves a better reputation than what it gets. But I feel like the overabundance of DLC and the pricing is why people keep, for lack of a better term, shitting on it. But either way, though, I still want to throw in, you know, more retro games on the channel. You know, mostly fighting games. Like, I want to throw in, you know, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary, which I really loved playing. Like, if you guys remember, I live streamed it not too long ago. But there's also going to be some videos where I'll be running sets with my friend Jordan. Like, I'm not sure if you guys remember him, but if you've seen my video, Jabroni Plays The King of Fighters 13, that was the video where I played with my friend Jordan. And we have not, and it sucks though, because we have not seen each other like in person since 2019, because I'm sorry, we haven't seen each other basically since the pandemic started, which again, it really sucked, because Jordan is such a great guy to be around. Like, he's one of the best friends that I have in my social life, which says a lot though, because you know, I'm an introvert, so I don't have that many people in my circle. I'm a very private person. But I don't mean to go off topic, but basically what I'm trying to say is that he's going to be joining me in more retro Let's Plays in the future. There might even come some moments where I might invite him onto my podcast, including my friend Sean, Nightbot92, as you guys know him. by, and we're also planning on doing a retro let's play series ourselves too. I mean, it's still going to be the same, like it's still going to be part of the retro let's play series on this channel, but like we also want to have our own series of videos where we're playing several games together, like, you know, Skull Girls, which is a fighting game for those who don't know. And like I said, you know, I love fighting games. So, and plus, I actually really do like Skull Girls because I do think that it plays like an Arc System Wars fighting game, like games like Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, Dragon Ball Fighters. Like that's how Skull Girls plays, and I got used to it, you know, pretty easily. So that's another game that's gonna get thrown on there. So this topic doesn't only apply to just retro games, but just games in general, because the retro let's play series is basically not only retro games but just games in general, you know what I mean? Like games where I play and then I balance my commentary with it, because that's the kind of videos I'd like to make. And not every single let's play I do is going to have my face cam, because honestly, I usually don't like doing my face cam a lot. I usually only do it when I feel like it. Most of the time, all I need is just commentary and then I'm good. But like I said, that's besides the point. So that's basically for the most part, that's the biggest feature on what's going to happen for retro let's plays. It's just going to keep getting bigger from that point, you know what I mean? I'm honestly very excited to have NeuTriVon 92 on my let's plays, because we're planning on using like a software called Persec. If you don't know what Persec is, that's basically a computer hosting software. It's basically a cloud. It's basically like a cloud PC hosting software where if you download it on your computer, you can actually host your computer to other people online, and they can actually control your PC from basically anywhere they want, as long as they got good Wi-Fi and all that stuff. So it's basically a cloud. It's basically like a cloud service. Basically, it's like PlayStation Now. It's like NVIDIA GeForce Now. You know, it's like those programs, except like it's more, I would say, independent, if that makes sense. Like the person's not paying for money to control your computer. Like, you know, you're actually giving permission to that person who requests to use it, and when they do, they can actually plug in their USBs into their computer, and then their USBs is going to be forwarded to your computer via cloud. So like, say for example, somebody who lives 20 miles away from me wants to use my computer via cloud and wants to use his controller so that way he can play a game with me via local player, you know, local multiplayer. He can actually have his USB controller be forwarded by the internet, and then it'll work on my computer, if that makes sense. I hope I'm not confusing anyone. So basically what I'm trying to say is that he can play on my PC from any location. So like we can do stuff like do MAME. If you don't know what I mean by that, I'm talking about the arcade emulator, the very, very popular arcade emulator, one of my favorite emulators of all time, actually, because currently I do have MAME on my PC. I actually have, it basically consists of nothing but fighting games. It's Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, then there's Marvel versus Capcom, X-Men versus Street Fighter, Tekken 1 through 3, and Tekken Tag Tournament, basically the originals, and then the original quadrilogy, if that makes sense. And then I also have the original 2 Killer Instincts, and I can't remember. I think that's all that I got. There's still plenty. I think there's others that I just can't remember right now. But that's a good majority of the fighting games that I have. I also have the original arcade versions of Soul Edge, otherwise known as Soul Blade in America, and the original Soul Calibur as well, which is basically the sequel, but, you know, the first to be called Soul Calibur. That's the thing. The titling just gets so confusing. Anyways, that's basically what we're going to do in the future, and because of this feature, me and NeuTriVon 92 can actually play games together, like Capcom vs. SNK, which will go on the channel, because I really apologize. That's very, very rude. And because of this, what's going to happen is that me and my friend Jordan as well, we're all going to be running sets on Capcom vs. SNK 2, because I personally think that it's one of the best fighting games ever made, in my opinion. And this is coming from a guy who isn't even that good at 2D fighters, but I'd be damned if I didn't admit that Capcom vs. SNK 2 is that damn good. But yeah, there's gonna be Street Fighter, King of Fighters, obviously, basically some of my favorite Dragon Ball fighting games like Budokai 3, Budokai Tenkaichi 3. I'm gonna do more of those because I honestly miss doing the BT3 videos from my King Cole 78 days. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about that failed alternative to my Reptile channel. And then I'm also going to do more Dragon Ball Fighters because I have been running sets with people online as well. And then there's also my friend Austin as well, who you guys never met before. But me and him also have fun playing it as well. And we're going to be doing more on that. He went by the name Soy Sauce in one of my older videos. So that's probably who you'll probably remember him by if you guys ever saw that video. So that's the future. And then I'm also going to throw in more fighting games I also own on my PS1, including other games on my PS1 like Crash Bandicoot. Like I'm planning on doing a redemption run of Crash Bandicoot, and then I'm also going to throw in Siphon Filter among many others. So that's the future for retro Let's Plays. But there's also some other upcoming projects on the channel beyond retro Let's Plays that I also want to do, and this is actually very interesting because there is so many projects that I do want to talk about, and you guys are gonna love it. Like I swear, you guys are going to absolutely love it. What's going to happen is that there will be some new montage videos coming out. I know I haven't done some in a while, but the montage videos that I've done on my channel have actually been receiving some decent trafficking. I'm very honored by that because it meant that people obviously really did like it. But I remember some of my older montage videos is not on my channel anymore, which I might re-upload. One of my older ones that I did was when I did Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. I was playing the PC version, and I was going around with Dee Dee. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about, if you never played Metal Gear Solid 5, Dee Dee is the dog that accompanies you on your missions as basically a combat buddy who assists you with taking down enemy soldiers, stuff like that. Like I feel like Dee Dee might be the best buddy support in Metal Gear Solid 5. I honestly like Dee Dee more than I like Quiet, in large part due to the constant humming. Because Dee Dee doesn't hum at all, like Quiet does. And honestly, oh my god, I really hate that humming, I swear to God. But yeah, I think Dee Dee's the best though. But like I was saying, like I remember in that video I was playing the PC version and I was just going around the country of Afghanistan, and I was just mowing people down and stuff. Like I was just basically free roaming around. I was just capturing outposts. Like I was just having fun with it. So it wasn't one of those videos that was meant to be taken serious. It was just one where you just see me just go around and just silently take down everybody, even if it meant that I had to do some lethal takedowns and stuff like that. And if there's one thing that I also really liked about Metal Gear Solid 5 is that doing lethal takedowns doesn't punish you in any way. And besides, even if you did, if you ever like respawned yourself in Afghanistan, they would respawn anyway, so it wouldn't make a difference. So yeah. If you do lethal takedowns in Metal Gear Solid 5, you don't get punished for it. Although if you're doing a mission, like I said, you don't get punished if you do it. You just won't receive bonus points. You do get bonus points if you don't kill anyone if you're doing a mission. But again, I don't mean to drift off. But basically, what I'm saying is that with regards to the montage videos, there's going to be more in the future. I actually want to do more montage videos on the fighting games that I've played online, particularly Tekken 7. And it's funny because almost an hour ago, I'm actually fresh off from recording some of the online sets I was running with people on Tekken 7. It's basically over an hour of footage of me just beating the hell out of people on Tekken 7 online. Like there were sets where I was playing with my friend Jordan, and then there were sets where I was just playing with other people that I legit had no clue who they were. Like I was playing with characters like Kazuya Mishima, Jin Kazama, Ling Xiaoyu, and Noctis Lucis Kylum. And it's real funny how I actually ended up playing with Noctis Lucis Kylum, because if you guys don't know who he is, he's the main character from Final Fantasy 15, which is another game that I actually might play in the future, because I actually want to get in on my opinion and see, is it really that subpar like people keep telling me? Like, some people say like it's good the first time, but then afterwards it's just like like I want to see how my opinion is, because obviously my opinions are way different than most people in the world, so I might think differently. But yeah, Noctis was basically one of the guest characters for Tekken 7 when Season 2 came out, I believe. Or was he in the game since the start? I cannot remember. But I actually don't remember when Noctis was first introduced in Tekken 7. But if memory serves me correctly, I believe he was first introduced into Tekken 7 from Season 2. And he actually came off as one of the most popular and honestly one of the best DLCs for this game. Like, honestly, I feel like Noctis was a better DLC for Tekken 7 than some of the latest entries, honestly. Like, Fakuram, who is the most latest one, he's the kickboxer, and Leroy Smith. Like, honestly, those two are, first of all, Fakuram is basically OP. Well, actually, both characters are OP, but Leroy especially. Oh my god. Like, I could make a whole video about how broken of a character he is. Like, really automatic parries and stuff like that. Like, really, like, people can literally spam him to death and he'll just, like, automatically parry, and then he'll do, like, this OP string of moves on you that'll take, like, 40% damage of your health, and it's just annoying. But that's a topic for another time. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that more videos on Tekken 7 is going to be coming out. And it's going to be very exciting, because Tekken 7, even though I don't think it's the best the best Tekken game of the series, I still believe that Tekken 3 is the all-time best, the all-time best game. But I have to admit that Tekken 7 still came off as one of the best fighting games of the current generation, right next to, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and don't at me when I say this, but King of Fighters 14 as well. Like I said, don't at me. And if you're also a Blaze Blue fan, you'll probably also enjoy Central Fiction. And like I said, if you guys do love independent fighting games, you'll probably get a good catch off of Skullgirls, which again I can safely say was really great, and then Mortal Kombat XL and 11 as well. Although I do think XL was the better game, and honestly, Mortal Kombat X is my favorite. That one soon. Once I do get enough videos on that, I will also do montage videos of me just mowing people down. So it's also going to be pretty exciting when I do eventually get to Mortal Kombat XL. It's just that right now, I'm currently working on Tekken 7. Because Tekken 7 has been one of those games I always wanted to do for a while. And then in some videos, I actually might even react to some of those replays as well, and just kind of explain what I was doing in that moment of time. Like, to basically give commentary, if you will. That's probably what I'm actually going to do, is that for the montage, is that it will consist of matches, but you'll see me reacting to them, and then me explaining what was going on in that moment of time during the matches, just to give my commentary on it, instead of just, people just watching it and just watching the matches and then just seeing what happens. Like, I feel like if I input commentary into those videos, people will actually be interested, because people will actually be interested in learning like how I ended up beating these people. But at the same time, I don't want people to think that I'm exceptional online. I was just only showing some of my best matches that I had, in which I basically beat people. You know what I mean? That's basically what the montage consists of. That's why I call it a montage, because it goes for a specific set of videos that I want to be demonstrated in said video. You know what I mean? So that is going to be the direction for the Tekken 7 montage videos. It's going to be fun. Trust me when I tell you. And as for other upcoming projects, there is more list videos that I also want to do in the future. Actually, I actually made a private Google Docs that consists of a bunch of future videos that I want to do. And I'm actually really, really glad that I do it. But a lot of people also don't know this because I don't talk about it that much. Because like I said earlier in this podcast, you know, I'm an introvert, so I'm not. So you know, I'm very private with most of my things, especially when it comes to my personal life. But I can safely say for sure that a lot of my video ideas and future videos, I actually put them all in a document. And then I try to create like a set schedule as far as what I should be working on them and stuff, because I work 4 days a week, so it's really hard for me to be working on all these videos when I'm basically away from home 32 hours a week. So it makes it difficult for me to keep track, but I'm still trying to work on getting good at it. And then there's also movie reviews too, which again I will explain in a second. But I just want to talk about some of the upcoming projects that I want to do. Actually, the movie reviews actually do, because there's plenty of movie reviews that I've already written the scripts for, but I have not actually done a full-length recording of just yet. Like movies like Nosferatu, the original Godzilla film from 1954, which is one of my all-time favorite films. First Blood, another one of my all-time favorites, easily one of the best action movies ever made. Halloween, the original, and then I also reviewed the 2018 direct sequel to the original Halloween in that review as well. And then I also reviewed Monsters, Inc. as well, and King Kong from 1933. King Kong from 1933 is easily one of the cinematic beauties of all time. Like, it's literally in my top 3 favorite films of all time. In my top 3. That's how much I love King Kong. And then I also did... there's also other Pixar films that I also reviewed, like Monsters, Inc. and A Bug's Life. Well, actually, A Bug's Life I already did. I not only reviewed the movie, but I also reviewed the PS1 game for That's a Man Reptile, which again that's another upcoming project. But again, it's hard for me to do that one though, because that one takes me the most time for me to do, because like I have to record the video footage, I have to record my vocals and stuff like that. I might try to work on it an episode over the weekend if I can. But it really depends. But there's another Pixar film that I also want to throw out as part of my film review series, because my film reviews basically consist of mostly Disney films, and I figured that I mostly do Disney films reviews because, you know, I love Disney films. I feel like they're classics, but at the same time, I also want to do other films like live action films, because I genuinely feel like they're some of the best films ever made. You know what I mean? So that's why I want to do them. On the other side of the spectrum, like as far as future videos go, right? Like I said, there's plenty of them. I actually have the list right here, right now. As far as list videos go, there's a ton of them. Basically, the majority of my future list videos basically consist of like mostly video games. Some of which are going to be movies and stuff, but most of the time it's just games, really. Like for example, I want to do one on the top 10 best Dragon Ball fights, because honestly, I've seen just about all of them. Like, cause I've watched the original Dragon Ball, I've watched Z, and the only ones I haven't watched GT that much, but I have seen fights with. I have seen some of the fights with Baby and Omega Shenron and stuff like that. And honestly, though, I don't think GT deserves the negative reputation that it gets, just because, you know, Toriyama wasn't heavily involved with this show as much as he was with the other two. Yeah, I mean, he was involved in GT, but it was just a more smaller role, basically. And as far as Goku becoming a kid, even though it wasn't a Toriyama idea, he approved of it. So it wasn't like it was an idea that went on without his approval. But I also want to talk about some of the fights from some of the canon films. I'm not going to talk about some of the non-canon films. I want to try to stay away from that. I only want to focus on the canon of Dragon Ball. And then I also want to do the top 10 Godzilla movies, because I've watched all the Godzilla films, including the most recent Shin Godzilla, which honestly was the best comeback Toho had done in a long time since Godzilla 2000. Now, Godzilla 2000, to be fair, isn't one of my favorites, but at the time when Godzilla 2000 first came out, it was the best comeback for Toho, because it made up for the disaster that was Godzilla 1998. Now, to be fair, I actually might make a review of Godzilla 1998, and here's why. Because Godzilla 1998 is not so much of it as a bad film, like in terms of it being like a monster movie and stuff like that. Like, sure, the dialogue was boring, the characters were bland, and but like it was still a rather entertaining monster movie. But I feel like the biggest issue is that they called it Godzilla, and the monster in the film literally had no characteristics, literally none, that ever matched the Japanese version. Like the original, like the OG version, as all the kids would say, the OG. Yeah, it didn't quite come as close to the characteristics of the original Godzilla that we all know and love. That being said, I still think Godzilla 1998 is a mediocre film, but it still doesn't deserve the hate that it deserves. Like, as far as calling it one of the worst films of all time, like, sure, it's a bad film, but trust me, I've seen far worse. Believe me when I tell you, I have seen worse films over the years. That being said, like I said, a review of that film might come too. But back to my point, the top 10 Godzilla movies shouldn't take me too long to do. Because like I already know what my favorite Godzilla movies are. But what I'm gonna try to do is get them fresh in my mind, so that way I can work on them and then do it from there. And then another video I also want to do, this was a video that should have been out a long time ago, and that's explaining the controversial ending to Reptile v. Krodra, which honestly, it doesn't even matter if I do it at this point, so I might abandon that project entirely, since I just said that the third film is not going to be so much of a continuation of Reptile v. Krodra, but a soft reboot. It still will continue from v. Krodra, but only like midway into the film will it actually continue from Reptile v. Krodra, as I said earlier in the podcast. But I'm still considering stopping from that film, from that video. And then another list video I want to do is the top 10 big-lipped alligator moments. This one might take me the longest because there's so many to pick from. Now, you might be wondering, what does big-lipped alligator mean? Basically, it's a terminology for a random moment in a movie or a video game where like some kind of form, like some kind of human or extraterrestrial form, or just any random moment that happens in any form of media. Like, for example, like you see some weird character come in, does something extremely random that'll make you go WTF, like it'll give you a WTF reaction, and then after that, the movie or the game does not explain who or what it was, and then right after that moment is long said and done, you never see it again. Like, I'll give you an example from the 1978 independent horror film Piranha. There's a scene in the movie, which is one of my all-time favorite moments in any movie. There was like this stop motion creature that just came out of nowhere, and I shit you not, it literally just it did like this frog ribbon. I don't know what it was. It sounded like it was croaking to death. Like, it sounded like Like it sounded like an 80-year-old man burping or something. Like that's what it sounded like. Like the creature just went on screen and it went like that's all it did, and then it just walked off, and then that was it. You never saw it again. Like literally throughout the rest of the film, you never saw that creature again, and the movie never explained what it was. That's basically what a big-lipped alligator moment is. It's something it's a random moment that happens in a movie or a game, and then you never see it again, and it's never explained who or what it was. That's basically what a big-lipped alligator moment is. And then also, I do want to because of the success of the top 10 best PlayStation 1 games of all time, which is one of the hardest list videos I ever done. I also want to do the top 10 best PlayStation 2 games of all time, because the PlayStation 2 is one of my favorite game consoles of all time. I would say it's definitely tied with the PlayStation 1, although I would still say the PlayStation 1 is always slightly better, but that's not the main point though. Because it's kind of unfair for me to say that, because the PlayStation 2 can play PS1 games, so it really doesn't make a difference if I say if the PS1 or the PS2 is my favorite. But I would primarily say PS1 for the most part, but I would, but the PS2 is still up there. But that's not my main point, though. I do have a lot of favorite PlayStation 2 games. I do have a set idea, but I also want to make sure that I also own the game, because there are some of my favorite PS2 games I actually don't own. Only like the majority of my favorite games I do own, but there are some where I do need to obtain a copy so that way I can record gameplay of it. Now, some of you might say, well, why not? Why don't you just use an emulator? Well, that's because I'm more of an authentic person. Like, I prefer authenticity. So yeah, you don't have to pay me no mind on my freaking. There's a word I'm looking for. I just can't think of it. My conflicted ass, basically. Like, I know. I'm so hard to work with. My complicated ass, basically. So, but just bear with me. Just bear with me. I have my reasons. Trust me. I have my reasons. But that's basically the future lineup. That's basically what the future lineup is going to be. And other than that, I really don't have anything else to say. I feel like I've gotten everything I wanted to say off my chest for this special live edition of the Living Like Larry podcast. And like I said, I really, really appreciate you guys. Like I said, I really appreciate a lot of you tuning in to watch this video, because it really, really means a lot. It really, really means a lot. From this moment forward, the Living Like Larry podcast is going to be pre-recorded, because like I said, I'm not always going to be able to do it live, because there might be some instances where I could be working later, or I might be out with family and stuff of that nature. But I still want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy day or whatever it was that you guys were doing to come and attend and watch this special live debut of the Living Like Larry podcast, which will be the trademark podcast from now on. So yeah, like I said, I very, very, very much appreciate it. And all of the messages that I have gotten in the chat, I very much also appreciate, because it shows how active you guys are and how much you really do care about the content that I'm throwing out. And I very, very, very much appreciate it. It really means a lot. Like, seriously, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. You guys are really some of the best fans I've ever had, and that's why I keep making videos. Like, honestly, I really don't care if I get the view count of like a big time YouTuber like Jacksepticeye or Markiplier. Both YouTubers, I actually do like their content and I respect the hell out of them. But I'm just one of those small time YouTubers where I just throw videos out for people even if it's like 1, 2, or 3 people who actually do care about the content that I make and all that stuff, like that's really all I care about. It shows that at least someone cares, and not to mention, even if no one cared, I still throw it out because I just love doing it and all that stuff. And then hopefully if anybody catches wind of the content that I'm throwing out, they might become interested to see these videos. So that's basically going to do it for this edition of the Living Like Larry podcast. I want to thank you guys for taking part and attending this debut. I want to also give a special thanks to, once again, Level Hike, because like I said, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have these amazing $30 HDMI cables for our old school consoles, so that way we could record them on the Elgato. Like, I'm serious when I say that these HDMI cables are literally emulator quality. Like, they really are. They're not as sharp as emulators, but it's sharp enough to the point where it comes close. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good they are. And they honestly look and play much better than most video converters that I've seen, which has like input lag and stuff like that. So that's why I strongly encourage you guys to shop for Level Hike on Amazon when you get a chance, because the owner would very much appreciate it. As like I said, I'm doing this as a favor for him. And also I want to give a special thanks to NeuTriVon Media and NeuTriVon92 as well. Now, I know NeuTriVon92 was not in attendance in this podcast, but like I said, he was the one who actually really liked the idea of the name for this podcast, as well as expressing interest in wanting to do more Let's Plays together. Like, actually doing actual Let's Plays together. I mean, we did Let's Plays together, because I remember we ran sets on Mortal Kombat 9. Even though there was no commentary, it still consisted of some gameplay footage of me and him having a set of matches with each other. But now we're trying to get it to a point where we can commentate and play the game at the same time. Basically, what me and NeuTriVon92 are going to do is that we're basically going to do what Cinemassacre does, which is, for the record, Cinemassacre is my favorite YouTuber. I met James Rolfe at RetroCon, I think it was 2 years ago, I believe. The dude is awesome. Like, James is one of the greatest guys ever. Like, I'm serious. Like, he's so friendly. But like I said, but yeah, Cinemassacre is my favorite YouTuber of all time. Like, if I had to make a top 10 list, Cinemassacre would be number one. He plays a massive influence in me wanting to become a content creator, honestly. Even though I never watched him when I first joined YouTube, he actually kind of really inspired me to do better content. And of course, he played a major role in inspiring the Reptile character too. But like I said before, that's with regards to Cinemassacre, though, and the Retro Let's Plays. What me and NeuTriVon92 are going to do is that we're going to do what Cinemassacre does, which is James and Mike Mondays, which is some of the best Let's Play videos you'll ever see on YouTube. It basically just consists of James and Mike just chilling out, playing video games, and giving in their commentaries, which honestly makes the videos better, because like the fact that they're commentating and showing how much they're engaging makes the video a lot more fun, and that transcends onto the audience. So that's the direction that me and NeuTriVon92 are trying to go in, and we're trying to see where it leads. We're just it's just that right now it's hard for us to do that because NeuTriVon92 is currently stranded. I'm not going to say where exactly, but basically he's not in his hometown. He's basically not in his hometown in Florida. He's basically with family members in the state of Virginia right now. I'm not going to say exactly where, but just, you know, he's just in the state of Virginia, and the reason how come he's not back in his hometown in Florida is because of the current health crisis going on down there, because the coronavirus cases have been spreading like wildfire down there, because, you know, people have been on the beaches not wearing masks and stuff like that, so cases have been through the roof. So it's gotten to a point where Florida is practically unsafe. Up here in Pennsylvania, there's still some COVID-19 cases, but it's very minuscule compared to Florida. But that's why it's so hard for me and NeuTriVon92 to get to that, because he doesn't have any of his equipment. So you guys have to bear with him on this situation. And plus, you also have to take into account that he also needs to spend time with family as well. So you also have to respect that too. But when the time does come where he does eventually have his equipment, what we will do is that we will run sets together and play games like Killer Instinct, Capcom vs. SNK, Tekken, among many others. It's gonna be fun. Like, we're gonna try to, like I said, kind of not necessarily spoof off of James and Mike, Mondays, but kind of have like a show title similar to that, but still standing on its own and stuff like that. And in a way, I'm gonna literally straight up say that this is a straight up inspiration of James and Mike Mondays, Larry and Sean Fridays, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Friday might be the best time to actually really upload those videos, but you know, that's just my personal opinion. But other than that, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the podcast, and I'm very, very excited to do more in the future. So I want to thank you guys for all your inputs in the chat and everything, and thank you for all the subscribing, because we're currently on the road to 4,000 subscribers. If we could get up to 4,000, that'll be great. And I also want to thank everybody for the success of Metal Gear June, in which I played all the Metal Gear games, basically the main ones, not counting the spin-offs like Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops and Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. I will be doing those in the future, because I actually gotten a request from one of my fans to do Portable Ops, so that's going to be another Let's Play series in the future that I will do. But like I said before, I'm always open to certain requests. Like I said, there are some requests that I can't do. Depends on the situation. But I'm always open to that, because, you know, as I just said right now, I had some people requesting it, and I did say that I was going to do it if the time was right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the Living Like Larry podcast, and I hope to see you guys again. Hopefully I will have the next episode for next week. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the like right here on this video, and I will see you guys in the next episode of the Living Like Larry podcast. Until then, this is your friendly neighborhood reptile, otherwise known as Larry the Lobster, signing off. I'll see you next time.